Diversity simply means magic and also beautiful.
It's an interesting and actually a powerful idea of all students coming from all over the world and studying together.
I have met other students which were not from the same country. I come to realize the difference of culture and other things.
I get this university more interested, more people's, more collaboration, more socialism. All people's interaction with others.
I'm here for computer science, and I'm dealing with the
Integral University is increasingly becoming the and cultures to pursue their dreams of getting prepared for life, to get skilled and to get educated.
I am from Germany and doing a research internship here in Integral University. And I'm here for 6 weeks working in a lab, and I meet a lot of nice people here, showing me university and work of Indian people, and it was very nice to be here.
My name is Shumaila Khan and I'm from Allahabad. I'm pursuing Bachelor's of Experience at Integral University has been amazing.
I'm Ahmad Khalid from Afghanistan and I'm pursuing here BCA and I'm final year at Integral University. So I have got very good experience from this college.
It might look like a small team, but it's actually big. Individuals from 1,000 kilometers away come to Integral to meet new people and to also blend in with them.
A university is a community of faculty members and students who are working in an ecosystem for the addition of knowledge.
You learn something from them and they learn something from you. Your world expands, your thinking expands.
Diversity is magical. Diversity is a beautiful and powerful idea, bringing together various cultures, personalities and becoming one, yet holding on to its own.
It's an amazing event and it happens every day in Integral University. It helps the students to blend in with each other, to support each other and to build each other up. In Integral University, everyone is like a family.
Integral University, Lucknow. Inspiring excellence.
A very good morning to all of you. On the behalf of Department of Commerce and Business Management, I, Dr. Gaurav Visaria, welcome you all on the 5th day of 2-week online quality improvement program on research, methodology and data analysis organized by Faculty of Commerce and Management in association with Faculty of Doctoral Studies and Research, Integral University, Lucknow. The topic of today's session is Statement of Problem and Development of Theoretical Framework. Research problem is the difficulty which the researcher experiences in the theoretical or in practical situation and wants to obtain the solution for the same. The researcher should be very clear on the topic where he has to conduct research. Problem formulation or defining the problem means the process of trying to collect additional information which is needed about the object, situation, circumstances, or environment. Statement of the problem is to understand the problem thoroughly and rephrase the same into meaningful terms. Theoretical framework is the structure that can support a theory of research study. Theoretical framework introduces and describes the theory that explains why the research problem under study exists. It has been said that problem well defined is half solved. With these words, I invite Professor A.K. Saxena Sir, our Dean, Faculty of Commerce and Management, for his opening remarks related with today's session.
Thank you, Dr. Gaurav Bisaria. Good morning to one and all. I take this privilege to welcome Dr. Anurag Singh, Associate Professor, young academician, young researcher, and a young entrepreneur who is emerging figure today in this country in the area of management, to deliver the talk in this on research methodology and data analysis. Our Chancellor, Professor Syed Nadeem, Professor Syed Wasim Akhtar, Pro-Chancellor, Dr. Professor Javed Masharrat, our and Dean Doctoral Study, Professor T. Usmani, and Dean Research and Development, Professor Haq. On behalf of the Faculty of Commerce and my personal behalf, I once again heartily welcome you to this workshop, this QIP. Now, the topic which Dr. Anurag Singh has taken, which is very, very important and pertinent, that is development of theoretical framework, statement of the problem and development of theoretical framework. If you go and see the principles of the research methodology, these are the first two components and these are the first two issues which emerges in front of a researcher. And we say that if a researcher has rightly identified the statement of the problem and developed a theoretical framework, which in fact gives you a roadmap to how to conduct the research work, he and she is halfway through. So identification of the research statement and here there are chances that the researcher develops prejudice, bias, hunch, premonitions. Therefore, there is no need to do hurry in and also a theoretical framework which is a roadmap to the completion of the PhD or a research project. Now, what is the solution? The solution to these two problems which Dr. Anurag Singh has selected, to my mind, is to go for doing more and more and more review of literature. More and more review of literature you will do, you will be in a position to find out the research gaps and therefore finalize your statement of the problem. And therefore it will also give you the what theoretical framework you should develop to approach stage-wise, step-wise to they are called milestones, and ultimately in the culmination of the project and the finalization of the project, and of course the completion of the research project. With this opening remark, I hand over to Dr. Bisaria to invite Dr. Anurag Singh to deliver his talk on these two vital topic of the day which he has chosen, which is very pertinent and which is befitting, which is said to be the bottleneck hurdle in front of any researcher, how to get. Over to Dr. Bisaria.
Thanks, Saxena sir, for your inspiring words. Before inviting Dr. Anurag Singh sir, speaker of today's session, for his lecture, I feel proud to introduce him to you all. Dr. Anurag Singh is having an affluent experience of more than 17 years in teaching, research, and training. He did his MBA from Department of Business Administration, Bundelkhand University, Jhansi, and had his specialization in marketing and human resource management. He obtained his PhD in the area of marketing from FMS Gurukul Kangdi University, Haridwar, Uttarakhand. Dr. Singh has published more than 30 research papers in refereed journals and has presented research papers in more than 40 national and international conferences and seminars on the contemporary issues in management. Dr. Singh has chaired a number of technical sessions in national and international conferences and seminars. Besides his active involvement as the trainer to various government departments like micro, small, medium enterprises and Pashchimanchal Vidyut Vitran Nigam Limited, he is being invited as a soft skill trainer by various management institutions. Dr. Singh has developed the curriculum for several management colleges and universities in the country. He has completed a research project funded by Banaras Hindu University and has also edited a book titled Integrated Marketing Communication, a Research Agenda, published by Global Publishing Limited, Hyderabad. Dr. Singh has worked with FMS Gurukul Kangdi University, Haridwar, Uttarakhand, and Department of Business Administration, Assam University, Silchar, Assam. Presently, he is contributing as Associate Professor in the Institute of Management Studies, Banaras Hindu University, Varanasi. He has special interest in contemporary issues like behavioral marketing, social media marketing, and EHR. With these words, I like to invite Dr. Anurag Singh. Sir.
Thanks, Dr. Bisaria. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are.
Thank you very much. My special thanks to Professor A.K. Saxena, sir. He happens to be my teacher. And till date, he is my mentor. Whenever I have problem, I always used to discuss the things with Saxena, sir. And always, as he is very much helpful, he tried to give the solution of different problems which a person is facing. Very much Saxena, sir, for inviting, and Dr. Gaurav Bisaria, sir, for inviting me and to share my expertise and knowledge, whatever I am having in this particular area. I'm sharing my PowerPoint. Please do tell when the things are shared. Is it visible? Am I audible?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Am I audible, Dr. Bisaria? I've shared my PowerPoint. Is it visible? Any one of you, please tell.
Yes, sir. It is visible.
Okay, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Now, this is the topic. It is a very pertinent topic with regard to the present day research and the kind of publication which we have to make as per the UGC guidelines, which used to come every day, and the kind of structure which was maintained, especially for different type of research journals. we are now focused especially on UGC CARE, Scopus, and Web of Science journals, etc., etc. Now, what happens whenever a researcher, after completing his work, he submits his proposal or the research work to any of the journal? The very first comment at the very first instance we receive that the problem is not clear to the researcher, and at the same time the researcher has not paid attention, especially in developing a proper theoretical frame. That means the theoretical frame is missing. Now what happens today, different type of statistical softwares are available. They helps us in analyzing the different data which we have collected, and on the basis of different relationship which we are wanting, automatically it is proved whether it is significant or non-significant. We have to keep one thing in mind: only assessing something as a data and to write that thing in the form of significance or non-significance will never solve the purpose, unless a researcher is not very clear about the research problem which he has undertaken, or the theoretical frame is not available. Though what happens, being a researcher, we always pay attention more especially on the data analysis part, but we pay attention less on the research problem part and theoretical frame part, as we generally think that theoretical frame is a very simple thing, and probably by writing the things, especially on the various variables and the constructs which we are taking, this particular part can be carried on properly. But there's a need to pay attention especially on the research problem. There's a need to pay attention especially on developing the theoretical frame. Now let us begin with a statement of a problem. It will take near about half an hour in order to give the complete explanation of the different statements of the problem, along with the examples which can help you out in writing a right statement of a problem. The first and the most important step in any research is to identify and delineate the research problem. That is, why and what the researcher wants to solve, and what questions she wishes to answer. Many a time it happens to us, we are not very much clear why we are conducting this particular research. What are the different research questions which are coming to our mind, and how it will be answered. That should be properly stated in our problem. We know it well that any research do not start without a problem. When the problem exists, then and then only the research starts. If the problem is not there, the research will never start. You must have seen the breakthrough which we had, especially in past 1 year, in the form of different, you can say, different vaccines which we are having today. That is the outcome and the breakthrough of the problem the society was facing throughout the world. Problem of COVID-19. And what happened on the basis of that particular problem? The researcher continued with the problem. They took certain aspects which were related to COVID-19, virus, and on the basis of that, they were in a condition to have a breakthrough in the form of vaccine. And today, every person is taking every dose of vaccines. So problem is one of the very important issue which needs to be addressed properly, which needs to be understood properly. A research problem can be defined as an area of concern. This is the area of concern. It is a problem in existing and extending knowledge. What exactly something existing in the proper knowledge which we have at present time, or a problem leading to confusion. This may be possible that a problem may lead to a confusion with regard to the people which are related with that problem, whether this thing can be taken care or this thing cannot be taken care, because it points the need for further understanding and investigation. Some problem may be there that may be creating a confusion, And because of confusion, in order to remove the confusion, there is a need to go ahead with further understanding and investigation. So this is a very simple definition of research problem. A statement of problem is used in a research work as a claim that outlines the problem addressed by a study. That means the statement of a problem briefly addresses number of questions. What is the problem that research will address? What is the different kind of problems which are existing and how it will be addressed? We can say it is defining the researcher's destination before and after the beginning of a research. That what exactly is existing, and on the basis of that, how we are proceeding further, how we are investigating, and what kind of breakthrough we are going to have, especially in this problem. We can, if we elaborate it more, it can be said that it is a broad statement of general problem and identification with specific components. General problem which is existing that needs to be explained in detail, and at the same time, any other specific components which are related with that particular broad problem that needs to be explained. So these are the very few things which are required, especially in a problem. Now, in general, we can say there may be a number of issues which are there in front of us. When we are going to define a problem, that at that particular moment we need to consider certain things. Now, what are those? What exactly is the problem? Where the problem is existing? What are the various reasons behind the problem? Why, how it is hampering the growth? How it is creating the confusion? In case if there is any kind of confusion, how it is creating the confusion? Will it be a scientific scrutiny or some other kind of a scrutiny in order to, in case if we start investigating that particular problem, then will it be a scientific scrutiny? Or at the same time, how a researcher will do, but what is the process which will be followed, especially by a researcher when that particular problem will be investigated? And in case if some kind of investigation is having an outcome, then what we are going to achieve? What we are going to achieve? Now, if you find everything which I have mentioned, I think I am audible, Dr. Gaurav. Dr. Gaurav, I am audible or not audible? I am audible, Dr. Gaurav.
Yes, sir, you are audible. Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay, thank you very much. Please pay attention, especially my voice. In case if there is some problem, do inform me, because I am facing a network issue today. At present, I am connected with broadband, but anytime this may happen. So thank you very much. So what I mean to say here, whenever the problems are being stated, a person or the researcher needs to go in depth in a problem, and he must try to find out the reasons behind the problem. At the same time, he needs to assess how it is hampering the growth. He needs to assess what kind of confusions which are existing, and what the researcher should do, and what kind of scientific scrutiny should take place, and how a researcher should continue with that particular problem for the investigation, and at the same time, what will be a breakthrough in case if the proper investigation is taking place. Now, what happens? Let me tell you about the certain things which are related to the problem. That is the goal. Everything which we are working, it has a certain goal. There are certain goals with regard to the statement of a problem. Now, what are the goals? The first goal is to transform the generalized problem into a targeted, well-defined problem which can be resolved through investigation. You will have to keep one thing in your mind, that problem is to be resolved, and how it is going to be resolved? It is going to be resolved through investigation. So what is existing in front of us? A generalized problem is existing, but at the same time, we need to convert the generalized problem into a targeted problem and a well-defined problem. Then, and how we can address that particular problem with investigation. This is a very important goal of a statement of problem. And when whenever we write a problem, what we do, lot many mistakes we commit when we are writing a problem. What we do, we straightway take certain researches which were conducted earlier and finding the gap, something which is study and something which was not a study. On the basis of that thing, we state the problem. No, this is not the proper way of stating the problem. Whenever the problem is being investigated, we need to search the secondary literature properly, and we need to find out whether the problem is existing or not, unless you are doing or conducting a research. So problem may exist in a generalized form, but at the same time, it is the work of researcher in order to convert that generalized problem into a targeted and well-defined problem. Second goal is to identify the reasons behind the problem. There are a number of reasons behind the problem. For example, we can take one very general example which used to come every year because of anti-boycott Chinese product campaign, which used to go every year, especially during the time of Diwali in India, and lot many messages which continue, especially WhatsApp and social media, in order to support Indian manufacturers, tiny or small size or micro size manufacturers, so that they can have the employment, and to boycott the Chinese products which are being continuously supplied in India. So what happens? This is a big problem which occurs. We can say many times it has happened, and it was found in newspaper every year, every time the stockist or the supplier, they are in a confusion whether to stock the product, Chinese made product or not, China made product or not. The problem is existing in generalized form, but at the same time we need to convert the generalized form into a targeted and well-defined problem. We need to identify the reasons behind the problem. There may be a number of reasons. Number of reasons can be, we may be supporting indigenous products. We may be boycotting China because of number of issues which are continuously coming in front of us. We are, supporting the micro enterprises or, artisans which are existing in different places. And at the same time, if the problem is existing, then why the stockist is facing the problem in order to stock it? That is because of continuous campaigns which are going on social media, because of number of other campaigns which are continuously going on. So we can say there can be number of reasons behind the problem. But a third goal of the problem is to help the researcher in identifying the purpose of the research. When you will go in depth in a problem, automatically you will find the next step takes you to the purpose, that is the thematic aspect of your research on which your investigation is being conducted. So these are the goals of the problem. Now, how we can define the problem? If you go in this particular figure, then you will find at the top it is clearly mentioned task involved. We can take the help of a discussion with the decision makers. How we will get the idea of the problem? We can discuss the problem with the decision makers. We can go for the interview with the experts. We can go for secondary data analysis, and we can have the qualitative research in order to have the support of the problem. But environment context of problem that needs to work out properly, it is also a mandatory requirement of any problem. But when we define the problem, there's a need to go for the management decision problem, and at the same time we need to convert that management decision problem into market research problem. And in step 2, especially the problem statement, what we will do, we will go in the objective and theoretical foundations which are existing. Whatever the theoretical foundations are existing, after taking the proper help of the secondary data analysis, we will enter into objectives and theoretical foundations which are existing in different forms. Second, in case if you're not able to find out the breakthrough, especially of that on that particular problem, then we will go with the analytical models which are existing, and accordingly we will frame the research questions and hypothesis and certain other issues which are related to the problem. So this is a very well-defined process we are finding in general science. If we have a specific problem, we can identify on the basis of certain secondary literatures which are available. Then when we want to go in depth, especially in that particular problem, the discussion may take place with the decision maker, a discussion may take place with interviewers, discussion may take place with a secondary data analyst, secondary data, or at the same time we can also take the help of a qualitative research. That means that you are coming in a problem, you are in the condition in order to state the problem. But when something needs to be stated forwardly, there's a need to take the proper support of theoretical foundation, and on the basis of analyzing the various research models existing, we can proceed further with the research questions and development of the hypothesis. Now, discussion can be done with a decision maker. Whenever we are discussing a problem with a decision maker, there's a need to follow the 7C approach. That is, a proper communication needs to be established. Cooperation should be there with the decision makers. There's a need to have a confidence in order to have the interaction. There's a need to have a candorness, that means openness, whenever we are asking something which is related to the problem. We must have the closeness, something needs to be close, and it should be continued, and the outcome should be there in a creative form. That means a 7C approach should be followed whenever we are discussing the problem with decision maker. At the same time, we can also discuss the problem which is related on which the work is being conducted with any of the expert. But at the same time, whenever the problem is being discussed with any of the expert which is from inside or the outside the organization, a researcher needs to prepare the unstructured kind of interview so that things can be asked. Otherwise, what will happen is limited time period may be given to you, and you will not be able to focus especially in that particular part in order to understand where the problem's roots are. We may face the difficulties. We may face the difficulty in the form of knowledge, which a person whom we are thinking that probably he is possessing the knowledge and he is not exactly possessing the knowledge. It may be difficult even to get the knowledge from outside expert. Not necessarily any person which we have consulted, he is having the knowledge in that particular expertise area. So we need to work out with this particular aspect in advance whenever we are going to interview any of the expert with regard to problem. Now, third source which needs to be, this is one of the very important aspects. It is so difficult to find the problem in order to go and to discuss the problem with the decision maker or with the external experts. But at the same time, we find the time in order to discuss the issues, find the issues in the secondary data. Now, what are the different sources of secondary data? Books, journals, newspaper, and the studies conducted earlier are the source of secondary data which can be consulted whenever we are going to discuss any of the problem. You may be thinking that this is one of the reasons the problem, at the same time, some other person have already worked out on that particular aspect, and he is saying that this is not the specific reason which you are thinking that this is the reason. That's why there's need to go and consult the different secondary data which are existing. Secondary data is an essential process in informing the socio-economic background. We need to understand the exact socio-economic background, then only we can go and analyze the secondary data which is available there. And out of these secondary data which has been pointed out, books, journal, newspapers, and the studies earlier, I feel newspapers and studies are more in providing the help in order to have the solution, or you can say the direction of a problem. Newspapers and the studies which were conducted earlier, they can give a proper direction to a problem, and that we always miss. We do not consult the newspaper, the news which has been published either in India or some other place as well, or we do not consult the earlier researchers or researches on which the work was carried out. Because in problem statements, the citation of the things which you have read either in the newspaper or on the studies conducted earlier, that needs to be given properly. In case if you're working especially on one theoretical aspect, then definitely the citation of the books and journals are required. but it will never be a research gap as we used to write. It will be a statement of a problem. We are not writing the research gap, we are stating the problem. Now, this is the environmental context, leave it. Now, let us come to the actual part of the problem. I have simply given a brief about what exactly the problem is, but how the problem is to be written, this is one of the very important components we must know. A problem statement can be divided into three parts. Part A, that is the ideal situation. Part B, this is the reality which is existing. And part C, the consequences out of the reality which we have found at the same time which the people or the persons are facing. Now, part A describes how things should be, or a desired ideal situation, how the thing should be, what the organization is expecting, what the association is expecting, what that particular forum is expecting, what the consumers expect, an ideal situation. Part B, it describes how the conditions as discussed in part A. What is being expected and how it is away from the expectation that needs to be discussed, especially in a part B, which will be followed from part A. We can say from being achieved or realized that we are not able to achieve something which we thought to achieve, especially in a part B, A, that needs to be explained properly in part B. That means explain how the current situation falls short from the desire. Something is being desired in part B, but at the same time, why we are not able to achieve in part B, and how we are falling short, and how much we are falling short, etc., needs to be mentioned, especially in a part B. And at the same time, afterwards, we will come at the part C, that means the consequences. In case if the things persist, what are the consequences, and how the consequences can be minimized, that needs to be converted into a better situation. That means your proposal to improve the current situation and move it closer to the goals or the ideal condition. Something might be expected, like government is thinking to have a trade with X, one of the country, maybe with China, they are expecting to have a trade this much. But at the same time, because of various problems, the trade is not continuing. Now we need to find out the situation, that why we are away from the ideal, expected, and the current, or you can say why we are away from desired and the actual, that needs to be stated in a problem statement. I hope I am audible, Dr. Gaurav. Am I audible, Dr. Gaurav?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. Now let us example. I will be giving the 3-4 examples, then I will be giving a one realistic example where it was mentioned, somewhere it was mentioned. Probably by example the things will be clear, and there I will also give you a one sample, or you can say template, in order to write a problem statement. Now this is an example one. It's again being divided into three parts: part A, part B, and part C. According to XY University, I'm reading it. Probably you will be able to understand the ideal situation, the things which are existing, and what needs to be done. Part A, according to XY University mission statement, the university seeks to provide a student with a safe, healthy learning environment. Dormitories are one of the important aspects of that learning environment, since 55% of XY students live in campus dorms, and most of these students spend a significant amount of time working in their dorm. So the ideal situation which is being expected, that is being written especially in a part A. In part B, we are mentioning what is the reality. The student living in a dorm A, B, C, dorm number A, B, and C, and D, currently do not have air conditioned unit, and due to hot seasons, it is common for room temperature to exceed 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Many students report that they are unable to do homework in their dorm rooms. Other reports having problems sleeping because of humidity and temperature. The rooms are not only unhealthy, but they inhibit student productivity and academic achievement. So the things are clearly mentioned for the students which are staying in ABCD dorms, that they are suffering from air conditioning problems and the temperature rises 80°F, and students report that they are not able to do the work at their dorm rooms, and at the same time other reports having problems which have already been reported by the students. They have a humidity and temperature problem as well. The rooms are not only unhealthy, but they inhibit student productivity, academic achievement. When you compare this particular part with the part A, probably you will find that this is the reality which is existing, but something was expected by administration of the XY University that was given over there. Now what we are going to write in part C. In response to this problem, our study proposes to investigate several options for making the dorms more hospitable. We plan to carry out an all-inclusive participatory investigation into options for purchasing air conditioning and different types of air conditioning systems. Now, in order to overcome the real problem which is existing in part A, the part C is suggesting what needs to be done and how the investigation needs to be carried out, and what is the goal of this particular problem which has been considered in example 1. Now, if you find this particular problem is a very general kind of problem, maybe studied by any student which is studying in any of the university as their dissertation or the project part. But example 2 is slightly ahead of example A. Let us go in the part A and part B and part C of example 2 that will give you more clarity, especially in through this particular example. The government of Kenya has a goal to industrialize the nation by year 2030. Now the quote is required. If you go in bracket, the quote is required. Referencing is required here. In this regard, it has encouraged growth-oriented micro small enterprises that should graduate into medium and large enterprises capable of contributing the industrialization goal. There are several session paper, again, the citation of the reference is required, that contain a specific measure to encourage and support micro small enterprises in Kenya. So this is the ideal situation which is existing in Kenya. Here, especially in this particular example too, you will find that 2 places the citation was required. Now, despite the said government effort, what the government tried and what is happening, what is the reality which is existing for the government was expecting that was mentioned part A, but at the same time what is the reality which is existing at present. Well, despite the said government effort, growth of micro into small enterprises and even slower growth of small medium scale enterprises. Now, when you're saying or giving this particular statement, then again the quotation or the quote or the reference is required here. The government has officially acknowledged that there exists a missing middle in Kenya, meaning that there is a gap between small and large enterprises in the country. Then again the citation is required. Statistics was required and citation was required. Now, this is a big problem from where we will bring the citation, especially the problem which we are considering. And what kind of citation will be made here? So I mean to say here, the expected in A and the reality which is existing in B that has been mentioned there in the problem, and part C, what needs to be done. X, Y, Z said that if the missing middle gap persists, the utilization goal may be difficult to achieve, because we are giving the explanation of someone's code. So again, the citation of the code is required. And in order to overcome the problem which has been mentioned in part B of the example number 2, there's a need to therefore arise to investigate why there is a persistent missing middle despite the government effort, and that is giving the clue to the problem. Now this is another example which I am going to consider, then I will come to the sample template. Now example 3, it is also having a 3-part, part A, part B and part C. In order to accomplish the part A I am talking, in order to accomplish their missions, public universities need motivational workforces. That is one of the expectations which is being made everywhere. They need motivated workforce, because the motivated workforce will not be there. Definitely the work or the academic environment will be affected. And that needs to be changed. We need to have a motivated environment or the effective educational academic environment. And in order to have effective educational environment, they need to go with a motivational workforce. This has been mentioned in part A. But there are, however, frequent and severe disciplinary actions which has taken place in number of universities, which is causing absenteeism as well as various form of unrest in public universities, which affect the accomplishment of the set mission. Now, I have talked about the various problems which are existing, but it needs a citation of a reference. The preliminary investigation reveals that both non-management and management staff are undermotivated. Now, something which I am talking about that is very firm, that needs a citation again. Cite reference is required again here. So part C, something which was being expected, something which is existing, and in part C, what needs to be taken care in order to investigate the problem which is existing. So without effective motivational package and procedure, the said immoralities are likely to continue and delay the achievement of universities as we know it well. That means, again, citation is required here. Thus, there is a need to examine the public universities' motivation system procedure. Now, in order, with regard to the various problems which we found there, especially in example 3, where the discussion which was made in a part B of the example 3, we are straightway coming to what needs to be done. We need to investigate the motivation system and procedure, which is the aim of a proposed research mentioned in part C of example 3. Now, these are 3 examples which I have quoted. I will not go into example 4. Now, whenever we are going, let me give one more example. This is the realistic example which I found somewhere mentioned. And this example is again related to the Chinese products which are existing, which are being sold in India. Now, if we go, I have not described or detailed this particular problem into 3 parts, part A, part B, and part C, but it will give the complete description of part A, part B, and part C. Right? Why? What is the expected? What is actually which is existing? And what is the difference between the actual and the expected, and what can be done with regard to research question, how we can investigate further, especially that particular problem which we have undertaken. Let us go to the part A. Chinese mobile phones are dominating the Indian markets. This is well-known fact. It is interesting to mention that China and India shares hatred with each other due to rising economic, political, military dominance in Asia. Now, this is a very important statement which needs to be mentioned here. Probably if you will not be mentioning this statement, reference or citations are not being given, then this work will remain incomplete. So our researcher has given the statement or the citation. Despite Indian consumers' massive apprehension towards Chinese product, most of the time a large number of Indian consumers gets attracted towards Chinese mobile phone. We know different kind of apprehensions are there, especially for the Chinese product, Chinese mobile phone. Even then, hatredness is there. Boycott Chinese product campaign is continuously going. Where? On WhatsApp. And on which companies, which mobile phones WhatsApp, especially which were produced in China. Or in social media, where we are accessing that particular social media on the mobile phone which were manufactured in China. Huge. That means a huge percentage of the population using Chinese product. But even then, they are attracted to purchase Chinese mobile phone, whatever the reason. The reasons are product quality, product design, and product price. These are 3 reasons. Why I'm saying this reason, I have given the quote, or the researcher has given the quote, why Chinese mobile phones are so popular. That is 2018. And this quote is coming from a newspaper. The attraction towards Chinese mobile phone is not only limited to few customers, but a huge Indian population is buying, using, and are satisfied. That means, again, this is requiring, when we are talking about the satisfaction, this is requiring a quote or the reference. The smartphone sales in India in 2017, this is again the quote or the reference cited, taken from any of the newspaper. Many Indians and overseas phones are also delivering similar or better quality and design in comparison to Chinese mobile, but the sales is continuously declining in India. even that needs to be, that needs a quote of the reference. So again, the reference of our one newspaper has been taken into consideration. So I mean to say, the expectation has been described in part A, what is the real situation which is existing in part B, and what needs to be investigated that is going to be described in part C. The decreasing demand and other overseas phones and demand of Chinese phones are raising a question: what is including Indian consumer to buy Chinese mobiles? This is a question which is coming. What is including Indian consumers to buy Chinese mobile phones? Why? There's a difference between the expected and the reality which is existing. So every time after critical issue, the expert comments if the dispute between both and the economies will persist and continue, the Chinese mobile phone will lose the market. Agar yahi rahega, the things will continue in this way, the Chinese mobile phone will lose the market. But despite the dispute with China, Indian consumers are extensively buying Chinese mobile phones, and it has again been quoted taking the reference of a newspaper. So the above explanation explicates the gap existing between actual and expected scenario. Expectation was mentioned in a part A, and the reality or the actual scene is mentioned in part B. Hence, researcher undertakes to assess the influence of product price on consumer willingness to purchase Chinese mobile phones, controlling the effect of product quality and design, which has been considered especially in this particular problem. Now, you will find one specific thing which is more interesting, that the problem statement is having the citation, but the citation has not been taken from any of the research work which was conducted. Because we know the researches which are conducted, they do not give the recent things, or in case if they cite, they also take the citation from some other place. Whenever the reality and expected needs to be discussed, if you take the proper support, the news somewhere which is mentioned, probably that will give a better support in writing or stating a problem which is existing. Now, in order to make it easy, let us have one template of the problem statement which will give a complete description, and by having this particular problem statement template, you will be able to write what the problem statement is. There is a problem in example, organization situation where problems that are occurring that needs to be mentioned, and you need to work out especially in order to mention the problem. This is the one part. Despite efforts to prevent or deter, despite the effort of someone, that means something unexpected is occurring in folk, which needs to be, evidence needs to be provided. Evidence will be provided by the newspaper or any news, any quote which has been mentioned somewhere. You are the person which is taking the help of the reference which are given somewhere. So despite the effort of the government or effort of the organization, still the undesirable things which were unexpected, even those things are there. That means there's a need to go to investigate, assess the problem in depth. This problem has negatively affected whom? There's a need to mention the victims of the problem. And why? Because a possible cause of the problem is existing. Perhaps a study which investigate anything which you're considering by paradigm method which you are finding it out could help in finding the solution which is related to this particular problem. So this is a specific template. If you find this particular template which I have quoted especially with regard to stating a problem, either example 1, example 2, example 3, or the real example which I have quoted especially the Chinese mobile phone, that has been, they have been developed in this template which is related to the problem statement. So I hope I am audible, clearly audible, Dr. Gaurav. Am I audible, Dr. Gaurav?
Yes, sir, you are.
Sorry, Dr. Gaurav, am I audible? Thank you very much.
Sir.
Thank you. Right. Thank you very much. Thank you. My pleasure. So, Dr. Gaurav, I am entering the second part of the lecture, which is based on, development of the theoretical frame. In the very beginning, if you remember, when I started delivering the content, especially about the problem statement and theoretical frame, we find whenever we submit, I told you one thing, whenever we submit our paper in any of the category ABDC category journal, and we get the reviewer used to say that the sound theoretical frame has not been mentioned, therefore it is being desk rejected. Or if the sound theoretical frame given, even then reviewer which go in depth in order to study the issues which are related to that particular paper, then he quotes the theoretical frame has been considered time when the investigation which started with regard to different variables, they did not match with the theoretical frame. So due to unclarity about the theoretical frame, the paper is being rejected. Now, this particular problem not only exists while writing the research papers. This problem do exist whenever we write our research. Because we need to be very much clear, any research work which is being conducted that cannot be worked out without having the theoretical frame. This means we need to, especially in studying the different theories which are coming in continuous basis. If we are missing that particular part, probably we will never be able to work out properly. We will never be able to publish our research, especially in A, B, C, or D category. Now, what is theoretical frame and how we can work out? Theories are developed by researchers to explain phenomena, draw connections, and make predictions. Whatever the theory which we are having, either the motivational theory, number of theories are there in motivation, or theories which are discussed and developed especially in technology or organizational buying behavior, purchase intention, etc. Everything has been developed in order to draw a connection and to make the predictions. In the theoretical frame, researcher explain theories that support the research, showing that the work is grounded on established ideas. If we carry on any of the work which is not grounded on established ideas, our work will never be accepted. Whatever the reality existing, that thing doesn't matter. We know it well that this particular variable is very important from our angle or study, but theoretical frame. And if it is not having a proper theoretical connection, if it is not grounded in established ideas, and what I am telling you again, established ideas, the work will never be published. Work will never be published. And you know, we are more focused on collecting the data, analyzing the data, calculating the result, writing the discussion, implication, etc., but least focus especially on the theoretical frame. Whereas if we talk about the theoretical frame, it is that frame which even comes on our discussion as well. Whenever we write the implication in theoretical concepts, contribution of knowledge in the existing theory which is existing. So theoretical implication, or you can say administrative implications or managerial implications, all these implications are written. But due to weak theoretical frame, probably we are not able to contribute rightly in the theoretical knowledge which we have undertaken or have considered. We need to pay attention especially to the theoretical frame. Now, what are the different goals of the theoretical frame? I will try to explain this theoretical frame and how we can write it as well, and how the researchers have undertaken in while writing something with we can say a few of the theoretical frame which are already existing in front of us. But at the same time, we need to understand the goals. The goal is theories and models other researchers developed and how they have explained those theories in their work. We take the support when we write the literature review section, how the other theories and models have been developed and what are the different things which have been taken in order to explain their work. This is one of the goals of theoretical work. As there are many theories, so the theoretical framework should involve evaluation, comparing. This is also the goal of a theoretical frame. If we go to the theories, we will find millions, but which are those theories which are very close to our work, which I am going to undertake on the basis of problem which I have considered stated, that requires one what evaluation, comparing and selecting the most relevant one. If we do not have ideas about the theory, probably it is so difficult to select the most relevant one. Another goal is to frame the research. Researchers should inform the different assumptions and the approach with sound justification behind the choices, why these tools and the constructs and the assumptions have been undertaken. If it was a theory, even then why? If it was not existing that theory, then what is the justification? It may be possible that being a researcher, we are working especially on one theoretical frame, or we are clubbing number of theoretical frame in a one theory and trying to have assessment of a model which is completely based on a problem which has been stated earlier, and on the basis of theoretical frame we are going to develop our hypothesis, etc., etc. That means there's a need to give the clear information, assumptions and approach with a sound justification, again repeating the sound justification behind the choices. Finally, the researcher should take the help of theory to support the interpretation and explanation of the data. Now, how to create a theoretical frame? How to create a theoretical frame? We can say basically there are 3 steps in order to create the theoretical frame. Identify the key concepts. Key concepts which are related to your work, which you have considered especially in the problem. The terms which has been stated along with the something which is coming from the research questions as well. There may be, we can say, any of the concept which you consider, it may have multiple dimensions, but when we are considering a frame, there is a need to be the complete explanation of the terms which we are undertaking. Example is here. Problem is the statement of problem, how it is well connected. Many online customers do not return to make subsequent purchases. This is a problem which is existing. Objective is to increase the customer loyalty. When we increase the customer loyalty, automatically the customer will return back to the online companies. But the research question with regard to this particular objective is related with the customer satisfaction. How can the satisfaction of companies as online customer be improved in order to increase the customer loyalty? So when we are defining a word which is related to the theory that needs to completely describe how it is related, what you are considering in which particular theory, and it is related to your concept which you are considering. So this is one first step of theoretical frame. Second is evaluate and explain relevant theory. Whenever we are full with certain concept which we are thinking to go ahead with the complete explanation, there may be number of theories which are relevant one. So what is the aim? Aim of this is to compare and critically evaluate the approaches that different researchers or the authors has proposed. Now, when we are evaluating, assessing and evaluating the relevant theories with regard to the concept which we have undertaken, that means we are more going towards, explanation of the concept. Explanation of the concept. We are more going to connect with that particular theory which is more related to our work which we are going to consider. How the concepts are related to that. It may be possible when you are going for the evaluation, explain the relevant theories, you may find number of theories. Every area have number of theories. If you go on psychology, attitude, and probably you find number of theories which the already established theories, worked out almost 70 to 80 years back, and those theories which are the outcome of those researches related with the previous theories which has been published in 2021 only. But what kind of connection the concepts are establishing and how it is establishing, that needs to be worked out properly. You may need to find out where this particular theories needs to be described in our PhD or research papers. It depends. In case if you are considering only a one relevant theory, then that can be covered in the literature review section. But if you're considering number of theories in order to club all those theories all together in order to work out properly, then you can make the separate section of theoretical frame. Show how your research fits in. Now, this is also one of the important aspects. That means first you have identified the key concepts, you have evaluated and explained the relevant theories, and how the research fits in. That also needs to be discussed in a theoretical frame. It should show how your own project will make sense of these ideas which have already been described in the different theoretical frame. You might aim to do one thing or at the same time many things of the following. You may test whether theory holds in a specific concept. You may test the existing theories, whether this particular theory is applicable in the context which you are considering or the problem which you are considering. Even that thing can also be tested. You can use the theory as a basis for interpreting your result. I told you earlier, when we add the theoretical implications, you may use the theory while interpreting your results. At the same time, you may critique or challenge the theory. That depends what you are going to do. You may even combine the different theories in a new or unique way. Now, there may be a number of theories, but at the same time, you may combine it and you will try to find the answers in a very unique way. So, if possible, also use the theoretical frame to develop the hypothesis for your research. Hypothesis also needs to be developed on the theoretical frame which you have considered. Okay? Now, let us come to the example. Dr. Gaurav, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Thank you very much. So, I am proceeding to the second part of the theoretical framework. Now, taking the example that is STEM technology acceptance model, well-heard model, which was developed by Davis in 1989. What exactly is this model? This model is an information system theory to explain how user accepts and use a technology. How the user accepts and use a technology. It is an actual system used in the end point for the use of technology. That how really the system is used. And one of the very important variable which has been considered, especially in this particular theory, there is a behavior intention, which is a factor that leads people to use the technology. It is the factor which leads the people to use the technology. Now, what the model suggests? This model suggests that when users are presented with a new technology, a number of factors influences their decisions. What happens? We are not very much aware about how to use, where to use. We are not find it easy to use as well. And many a times we do not find usefulness of that particular technology. As we can say, every day because of this particular pandemic, information technology is having a great role. We are completely shifted on online teaching, and many of the institutions are having the smart board along with the online broadcasting, along with certain, what we say, platforms, WebEx or this particular platform on which we are available right now, etc., etc. So, two kind of problem many of the person may face. They may find that particular system which is information technology based, that is not useful for them, and at the same time they are not finding ease of use. In case if they are finding usefulness, they may not be finding ease of use. So this was the two independent variable or the construct which were considered by Davis in order to comprehend the intention to use this particular technology. So he used perceived usefulness and perceived use of use. And this is the model which was the outcome of Davis in 1989, TAM1. On left hand side, you are finding perceived usefulness and perceived ease of use. Perceived ease of use is linking to perceived usefulness, and at the same time, both the variables are linking to intention to use, and intention to use is linking with usage behavior. Now, if we go in the TAM, then the question may be coming. that this is the outcome of research. Someone, Davis, might have published it somewhere. He has published in a A category journal, a very reputed journal, highly reputed journal. And more than, lakhs of citation of this particular paper has been made so far. Not even a single citation, 1,000 certification, 10,000 certification, 50,000 certification, more than 10 lakhs of citation has been made so far. That means this particular theory has been referred something. But at the same time, Davis might have referred something in order to frame technology acceptance model. Let us understand this. TAM1 theory is based on theory of reasoned action by Martin Fishman and Isaac Eisen in 1967. Isaac Eisen, which worked especially in theory of planned behavior, he referred the theory of reasoned action when he was working out especially in theory of planned behavior. He himself criticized Isaac Eisenberg, who came with a theory of reasoned action. He was reasoned action. In 1975, he came with the theory of planned behavior. Now, how did he come to the theory of planned behavior? He came to the theory of planned behavior with the self-criticism which was raised by Isaac Eisen himself. He maintains the website, and that website is continuously working in order to give the new theories as well. But as far as TAM is considered, TAM has taken the base from theory of reasoned action, which was given by Martin Fishman and Isaac Eisen in 1967. But if we talk about TRA, that is derived from what I'm saying. Theory of TRA was derived from other theories of social psychology, persuasion model, and attitude theories. Now, how the linkages are existing, you need to understand this thing. You cannot work anything on the basis of something idea which is coming to your mind, unless you are not able to link any of the theories. We study the theory, but the theory needs to be linked. I said Isaac Eisen worked on theory of planned behavior in 1975, which was based on theory of reasoned action. Theory of technology acceptance model, which was worked by Davis in 1989, which was also worked based on theory of reasoned action. But from where the theory of reasoned action came, this is a good question. The theory of reasoned action is derived from other theories of social psychology, persuasion models, and attitude theories. What that theory of reasoned action is? It explains the relationship between the attitudes and behavior within human action. That's why this TAM model has considered this attitude and behavior, whereas attitude was completely replaced by perceived usefulness and perceived ease of use, which was linked with the behavior. Now, attitude towards the behavior and the subjective norms were the base in that TRA, theory of reasoned action, if you remember. However, a number of critics estimated that attitude theories were not providing a good indicators of human behavior. Therefore, TRA was later revised and expanded by the two theorists in the following decades to overcome the discrepancies in A-B relationship with the theory of planned behavior, as I have already quoted, that is from theory of reasoned action. We can say, so TRA is the base behind the technology acceptance model that has triggered the technology acceptance model. Now, what happens? Any theory which comes, it also have lots of criticism. So TAM1, technology acceptance model, it is having the criticism and outcomes. The TAM includes its questionable experimental value, limited explanatory and predictive power, in consequence, and have the practical value, which was mentioned by Chutur in 2009, because it is based on two different variables, perceived ease of use and perceived usefulness. That's why it is having the limited explanatory power and limited predictive power. Ease of use and usefulness differs from man to man. That is also one of the questions which was raised by a number of researchers. Training can change the ease of use, which was not covered in TAM1. Can you think how the people can think and criticize you as well? So Davis was criticized that training was not an important dimension, especially that particular TAM1. Therefore, it is not that particular theory. In case if we are training those persons, then probably the ease of use will be better in that case. Therefore, there's a need to work out on that particular theory. The constantly changing IT environment has led to a state of theoretical chaos and confusion. So the criticism were given. When the criticism are given, then outcome always comes. If you criticize your work, that means you are thinking ahead of the work which was contributed by you in previous time. If you are eligible, if you are able to do, that means it is a very basic model. It is disastrous in predicting the behavior and intention. It did not talk about external factors which influence ease of use and perceived usefulness. TAM is talking about positive side. No discussion on the barriers were made, especially on that particular technology acceptance model. So what is the result? TAM was extended to extended TAM and TAM2, or you can say TAM2 or TAM3. Now what did happen when the criticism came? Now who did? Criticism दूसरे लोगों ने किए. Work was done by Davis. Now who did? Now in TAM2, the work was conducted by these two researchers. The TAM1, which came in by the Davis in 1989, he along with Venkatesh developed the another model, another work. And definitely the simple straightforward work was not done to develop a model. They worked out in order to find some other critical situation where they have stated in the problem, and in order to have the breakthrough with regard to the various variables which they have considered in order to establish the relationship, they have considered that thing. So what did, on the basis of criticism which was made by Venkatesh and Davis, what they, if you find it in here in between, probably you will find the technology acceptance model is given here. Exactly the same thing which was considered. But few other variables which they have considered, they were subjective norms, image, job relevance, output quality, result depth, demonstrability, and at the same time, the moderating effect of experience and voluntariness that were also checked on subjective norm intention to use and subjectiveness relationship. This is the outcome of TAM2. Now, when we go for the extended TAM Venkatesh, we may find they are differentiated with the extended TAM in the form of a TAM3 because of certain drivers. TAM3 differentiate TAM2 by adding of drivers of perceived usefulness, perceived ease of use. TAM1 is a good to study the model from the end user's perspective, but at the same time, we know that in school of thoughts, especially in marketing, two school of thoughts are existing: utilitarian and hedonic view. Whenever we go with the utilitarian approach, it explains what I am able to do by the technology. And in the hedonic approach, it is driven by external factor which explains the pleasure. So the perceived usefulness and perceived ease of use can be measured from different scales which were given in this particular paper. Let me go. Now this was the paper. It was published, perceived usefulness, perceived ease of use, and user acceptance of information technology. I hope that Dr. Gaurav, I am clearly audible and clearly visible as well. It was published in MIS Quarterly. Dr. Gaurav, am I clearly audible?
Sir, you are audible, sir.
Okay, thank you. So this is the paper that Davis worked out, and different construct which they have considered, they are clearly given in this paper if you go through. Now these are the various constructs which they have considered from different places, even that mentioned over there. Now go back. Now there may be certain questions with regard to how did the Venkatesh and Davis they have used it. How to measure perceived usefulness and perceived ease of use. An improvised and adaptive scale as per our requirement can be used in order to measure perceived usefulness and perceived ease of use. Now this is the one paper which was published by Indian author recently. It has been published. That is in the adoption of AI-based chatbox and hospitality tourism industry. And these are few of the things which were taken. If you know, remember, note these are the variables which were used in a technology acceptance model 1. Okay. Few other things which were added, then anthropomorphism, ANM, and perceived intelligence, they were also used, and again the intention and the behavior, the moderation of one variable, that is thickness to the additional travel agency planner, it was used. Now from where, how did they measure? They have taken the construct, and this is the support of construct which was given. That is PEA, that was taken from These are the two papers adapted from here. PUL is for adapted from here, perceived usefulness, perceived ease of use, and anthropism, it was taken from Gurso et al. To the 1909 as well, and 9 and 16. So these were the base behind the use. Why TAM was not used? These are few questions which may be asked from your side. Why TAM was not used in this paper? Why not extended TAM? It's a very important question. This paper which we were referring right now, especially on the AI-based chat box, while a TAM 2 and TAM 3 was not used. So TAM, while a TAM 1 was used, TAM 2 and TAM 3 used basic aspects like subjective norms, perceived ease of use, usefulness, whereas TAM 1 is the result of TRA, which is coming from social psychology, which is used other constructs like external, extrinsic, then context facilitating factors, which is not the requirement of the paper which is under consideration, has been considered especially in a problem. So we can use other constructs which are coming from other theories as well. Now again the question may be there, in TAM, can we associate any other construct from that particular theory? Yes. Any construct can be associated from any other theory, but there is a need to have a sound justification in additional construct. TAM 1, TAM 2 and TAM 3 can single-handedly used or can be integrated with sound justification. This need to understand every technology acceptance model which we have having, even those things can be added, but there is a need to have sound justification. Modification of existing model is required. Otherwise, you will always be questions for your contribution. We can take many more variables as per our research work. Another question which can be asked, if we work on TAM 3 and is giving an output, can we call our model as a TAM 4? If we are working on that and we are having a breakthrough, can we call that model as TAM 4? No. If the additional constructs are not working on the base construct, then it will not be called as TAM 4 because the base construct needs to work. This is a very important thing which we need to take care. In case we want to have breakthrough in the form of TAM 4, then the base construct should work, then can be called as a TAM 4. Other question, what other variables can be used for researcher considers base of a TAM? Other variables can be anything, as I told you earlier. Gender, age, income, voluntariness to use, even they can also be considered as a moderator, but with a sound justification which needs to be given. How we can develop a sound justification, this is another question. Can a reviewer say that using above mentioned variable, there is no addition in body of the knowledge? The reviewer can say that you are using above mentioned variable, so there is no addition in the body of knowledge. Yes. In order to add in the existing body of knowledge, few other constructs from other theories should be added. Otherwise, that work will never be considered as a good work done by you, and you are not adding anything in the existing body of knowledge. This can be understood from paper on chat box. This is one paper. And here, ANM, exactly in this particular model, this anthropomorphism and perceived intelligence, ANM and ANT, they were added over here, right? They were added over here. So, is it good to integrate 2 or more theories? Yes, you can integrate any number of theories. Few moderation and mediation can also be, and this is the model which I have simply focused and pointed out in front of you just few minutes back. Few other questions can be technology like auto-driven cars, ERP system in any of the university, even the STEM model can be studied. Can be applied TAM in new domains? Yes, it can be applied in new domains as well. HRIMS is that particular domain where this particular TAM model can be applied exactly in this form, along with adding certain more variables. What other theories are related to TAM? There's not even a single theory. We can have a number of theories aligned. TAM 1, TAM 2, TAM 3, and without one. This is also one of the very three. And at last, finally, Venkatesh and Bala came with a new theoretical model that was TAM 3. We can say extended TAM in the form of TAM 3. And you will find that technology acceptance model has been used as in a same fashion, but at the same time, subjective norms, image, job relevance, output quality, result from demonstrability, they have been used, and few other adjustments were made, perceived enjoyment and objective usability. So this is the outcome of TAM 1, TAM 2 and TAM 3. Now it is there in front of you how you are utilizing these models or theories which has already been given. You can even add some other variables, but the basis of some sound justification, those variables can be added. Now you might be thinking this is another work which was done by them. Here the moderators are being lying between the different relationship of action, this anchor and adjustment between the perceived ease of use, where in the previous model the moderators were removed. Yes, on the basis of non-significant value which we found between these relationships, these moderator variables were removed here. And similarly, in the same fashion, the time is not permitting, still I'm having a number of things to discuss. UTOUT model was also worked. I will just give a viewpoint, not going the different questions. I would love to take the questions. I'm running over the time. This is a UTOUT model 2003. It was also given by the Venkatesh. So he again still the behavior intention. On use behavior, it was supported performance expectancy, effort expectancy, social influence, facilitating condition. Right? And you can't believe this is a very unique kind of condition which exists in front of us. This particular model theory was integrated in 8 different theories. I'm just opening it up. I hope it will open. And it was developed on 8 different theories. These 8 different theories, they were just rotating. There's a theory of reasoned action, technology acceptance model, motivation model, theory of planned behavior, combined TAM TPB, model of PC utilization, innovation diffusion theory, and social cognitive theory. A very, very important thing which we can notice. So that means there's no need to work. Even if you're thinking to integrate the different theories, you can integrate it as well. You can integrate those theories very nicely. For example, we need to add any of the construct which we are finding it is deemed fit can be used in the existing theory. This is a big question. Yes, it can be used, but at the same time, we need to go in publishing a qualitative paper on the basis of interview. Then and only we can use finding it somewhere and citing that particular reference. Then we can use any of the variables. And on the basis of that, same thing, he worked out with a UTOUT theory, Venkatesh in the year 2012. He added these 3. He removed one, moderating variable which he used in UTOUT 1, that is voluntariness to use. You might be finding gender, age, experience, and voluntariness to use. And he removed that particular variable, voluntariness to use. Age, gender, experience is existing. That came in the form of UTOUT 2. And at the same time, he came with a UTOUT 3 as well by removing all the moderators from there. It can easily be found in one of the paper. What is the difference between, and this paper is there, what is the difference between different UTOUT models? This paper tells everything about that. It is there with me in case someone will be wanting, I can share with you all. And finally, one question which may come to our part, whether we will be able, where we will find those theories, kahan humko ye theories milegi? I will go to the one, now this is, yes, this is the website. I can give the reference of this particular website where you'll find almost all the theories, these theories. You can find it, how many theories are there? Behavioral decision theory, belief action, bound objective theory, chaos theory, cognitive, then TAM model, UTOUT 1, 2, 3, every theory is given over there. Now on the basis similarity of the work or the problem which you have considered, there is need to work out respect on this theory. For example, I have opened this theory of interactive media effects. Now this is complete description where you will find the model on which the work was carried out. This is the model. This is the model on which the work has been carried out. Now if you think 2 theories to integrate all together, it can be integrated. But my explanation is that always go with theoretical foundation. Always try to develop a construct that will help you out properly. If the construct will not be developed, then definitely, always develop a theoretical frame, definitely up with the results, and it will never able to give any kind of faith. So this is all from my side, Dr. Gaurav. If you have any question, you can raise. Am I audible, Gaurav?
Yes, sir. Anurag, sir.
Yes, yes, Dr. Gaurav.
There are some queries of the scholars.
Right, please.
So the first one is how the problem differs from other parts of research. How the problem differs from other parts of research.
Right. Yes, I've noted a question. Can I answer it right now?
Sir.
Am I audible, Dr. Gaurav?
Yes. Sir, you
Yes.
are audible.
See, problem is the base, and probably, yes, thank you very much. Problem is a base in case if we are not considering that particular problem. See, any of the innovation depends on the problem which we are facing. I gave the example initially, which is the breakthrough. It has come in front of us in only within 19 started. The problem people were facing on the basis of the base breakthrough has come. That was society faces the problem. We need to understand, assess the problem, and that needs to write their problem is stated properly. Then we can raise the question which are related to the problem and finally come with a hypothesis or the objective which needs to consider, and investigation can be started. So it comes from any part, either theoretical frame or the literature review or the analysis or the implication part, etc., which is a very important part of any of the PhD thesis or research program that comes. So this way we can find the difference between the problem which is existing and how from the different part which has been considered in any of the research. Dr. Gaurav.
So, the next one is why the research problem is important. Why the research problem?
Sorry, I am not able to.
So, am I audible to you?
Please repeat the question.
Yeah. Why the research
Yes, you are audible.
problem?
Some break,
Yes, sir. Why
Yes,
the
sir.
research problem is important. Anurag sir, are you there?
No, I am not getting your voice. I don't know. Some
Anurag sir, am I
my
audible
side.
now? Anurag sir,
Am I audible?
audible now? Yeah, sir, you are audible.
Dr. Gaurav, am I audible?
Yeah, sir, you are audible. Sir, can I ask the question? There is some network issue. Anurag sir will be soon joining us. We are waiting for Anurag sir to come back.
Yes, please. Yes, sorry.
Anurag sir?
Yes, please. Yes, yes.
Anurag sir, am I audible to you?
You are very much audible. Please tell.
Anurag
You are
sir?
audible.
Okay. So the
Yes,
question is,
audible,
why,
sir.
why the research problem is important?
Yes, research problem is important because if the problem is not properly stated, we will not be able to find what is continued being done. If the problem is properly, automatically the direction and the way we have come forward that is open. That's why the research problem is very important aspect.
Sir, can I have
Yes,
the next one?
Dr. Gaurav.
Yeah. So the
Yes,
next one is,
please.
yeah, how to write a problem statement.
The problem statement is concerned, I have already given the description, and the template is there. I will share a slide with you and two examples which needs to be explained. As I stated there, any problem statement part A, B, C. In A part, there's a need to give description what is the expected situation and what is the reality which is existing. In third part, we need to explain what is the difference between reality. And when we explain the expectation, reality along with the causes, automatically that gives the direction of what needs to be carried out in the form of objective and hypothesis. So that is a template here. I can share the slides with you. Examples have already been quoted. Yes, please, Gaurav.
Right, sir. Sir, can I use two or more theories to support my research model?
Yes, very much. But with the sound justification why you are approaching two theories altogether. And as the student, I will definitely with all explain as well. You please phone number and email discuss because relevant is therefore this can see any question he is having related to this one, ask the contact. I'm ready. Yes,
Okay, sir. So the last one, can a research be conducted without the study of theory? So the last one,
and is without
there is some network issue. He will be coming back soon. Just hold for a second. Sorry for the inconvenience.
Yes, Dr. Gaurav, I think I am able to give the answer. No work can be carried out without the theoretical frame. You need to find out the proper.
Okay, sir. Okay. Sir, now I like to share the certificate of appreciation given by the organizing committee to you as a token of respect, gratitude, and
my pleasure.
So now we have come to the end of the today's session. So first of all, I like to thank Professor S.W. Akhtar sir, Honorable Founder and Chancellor of Integral University, Lucknow, Dr. Syed Nadeem Akhtar sir, Pro-Chancellor, Integral University, Lucknow, Professor Javed Musarrat sir, Vice Chancellor, Integral University, Lucknow, Professor Akil Ahmed sir, Pro-Vice Chancellor, Integral University, Lucknow, for giving us permission for organizing 2 weeks online quality improvement program analysis for faculty members and research scholars. Next, I like to thank Professor T. Usmani sir, Dean, Faculty of Doctoral Studies and Research, Professor A.K. Saxena sir, Dean, Faculty of Commerce and Management, and Dr. Syed Shahid Mazhar sir, Head, Department of Commerce and Business Management, for showing their presence in the program and guiding us in organizing online 2-week Quality Improvement Program. Next, I'd like to thank our guest speaker, Dr. Anurag Singh sir, for giving his precious time and sharing his knowledge with us. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Anurag sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gaurav. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to thank all the faculty members and research scholars for being such a good audience. Next, I'd like to thank all those associated with the conduction of program. The topic for tomorrow's session will be measurement and scaling, which will start at 10 a.m. Till then, stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Thanks for inviting me. My pleasure. Can we end the show?
Yes, sir.
नहीं,